Welcome back, data leaders and Python learners, to Insight Builder channel. Maximizing your data potential with SQLAlchemy. How to build dynamic applications with any database and Python. What's the problem we are facing? The problem we are facing is connecting different apps, Python applications with databases. We have seen applications that use Python libraries like pandas. We have seen Streamlit in the last videos. If you have not watched it, do watch it. I will tag those videos in this as a playlist. The most important aspect is how to connect our Python code with the database, the tables inside the database. The database themselves have a lot of tables, and these tables require something called a schema. Schema is similar to the data types that we have in our code. What happens is we need to somehow connect the data types in our Python code with the schema in the databases. This interface between the schema and the code that actually glues them together, that is what is SQLAlchemy. Okay, to make you understand in a visualized fashion how to get SQLAlchemy. And SQLAlchemy needs one more supporting library also. It is called as Pydantic. In order to get SQLAlchemy, you have to do a pip install SQLAlchemy, and you can install Pydantic in the same way, pip install. And I have given the references for these two libraries. I would suggest that go through this video, and then if you are curious about these libraries, you can further explore them. After this video, I will be also giving a direct example where we explore these two libraries with an example. In case of the big data alternative, the is Spark SQL. So we will be discussing about this concept in PySpark video. So stay tuned for that. Let us continue. Alchemy starter. First of all, in order to start the Alchemy activity in our SQLAlchemy activity in our Python code, we need to create a SQLAlchemy object, and this object will have the database table model, and each table has to have separate models. So keep this in mind. At this moment, whatever I'm explaining might look very theoretical. Just go through the process, keep these steps in the mind, so that when you are going to work with any of the projects, you must be able to recollect these steps. Once we create those objects, and then we have to create one more object called the validator object. The validator object helps in checking the data that is entering the database through our Python code. The checking happens both at write time as well as read time. If you are not aware of database applications, or if you have not come across database applications, this might actually confuse you. All these things I will explain with example in the next video. This video is more of an introduction. So how SQLAlchemy helps here? So SQLAlchemy helps to create the DB table. It actually creates the DB table. You don't need to manually create the table inside the database. So once you create the SQLAlchemy, and SQLAlchemy has its own internal function that can connect with the database, and it can start interacting with the database. You actually don't need to do anything. So it automates all the process, creation of the table, and giving the variable types to the table column. All of it is done using the code that we write. And then whenever you are going to read or write into the database, Pydantic will do the validation. So if you have a website where the input is given by the user, and if the user gives a wrong information, in fact, for an example, if the user has to give an email ID, but he gives a name there, then Pydantic will create an error so that the user will know that he has to give the email ID. So such kind of things Pydantic will help. And then in order to retrieve the data also, we can use the SQL ORM and then use it in our kind of API. So that will be the major purpose where SQLAlchemy gets used in creating APIs and backend development activities. And finally, there is deployment. When you are going to deploy these kind of front-end, back-end applications, there has to be a lot of login processes and credentials checking. In that place also, to have a separate table for users and passwords, how to interact with those passwords, to create hashes for those passwords, all those things can be implemented using both SQLAlchemy and Pydantic. This is an overview that I wanted to give about SQLAlchemy. The process is that we make the app is here, the web application, and then we store the data. And after that, when we store the data and retrieve the data, we can do the type checking. It is called as validation. And if you are going to deploy it on the server, ensure that the DB is instantiated. That means the DB instance that the particular Python code is going to call has to be instantiated. This is the overall process SQLAlchemy follows. What we'll be doing is we will be using Jupyter Notebook to create a prototype of a SQLAlchemy application working with Python. And we will see how it works with the actual database, Postgres database. I'll be showing all this activity in the next video, step by step how it works. And you will see how the code in Python will affect the database tables. So I will explain each and every command and each and every step that I need to take in database, and also the steps I need to take in the Python. Both I will be explaining using Jupyter Notebook. So stay tuned for that video, guys. And if you like this video content, do leave a like, and please share this video with others, and subscribe for my channel by clicking on the bell icon. If you have any comments, do leave the comments in the comment section. I will reply to it as soon as possible. Once you subscribe, you will get the notification whenever I put the new videos. So it will be useful for you. So do subscribe. After I complete the example, the video where I show the example using Jupyter Notebook, then I'll be moving to creation of REST API in Python using Fast API. So stay tuned for that. And if you want to look at how the Fast API looks like, how the application will look like, just go to this link and you can find out how the Fast API link looks. So you can get an idea. So coming back, stay tuned for the video where I explain the SQLAlchemy and Pydantic in action along with the database instances. So till then, stay tuned and have a great time.